and welcome back to the Blue Jays Today Show, where, guys, today we've got to talk about the recent comments that Bichette made, speaking out about a potential trade involving him leaving the Toronto Blue Jays. We're going to react to the comments he made pre-show. He also followed up with some comments after the game last night. So if you haven't seen those, stay tuned. We're going to look at those. And as well, of course, it's trade season. We got to be talking about who are the guys that are going to be going. And as well, the guy in charge of them going, which is Ross Atkins. He also made some comments. So we'll be talking and breaking that down. And of course, the Toronto Blue Jays, they played the Yankees and they won last night. So what are they going to do tonight, tomorrow, Sunday? Let's talk about it. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Palela. Welcome in, everybody. Before we even get to all the Bichette and the Ross Atkins news and everything like that, this past week of baseball, man, vibes are still low, and understandably so, right? We've lost a lot of games in a row. Right, the Blue Jays have not in a row, but they had lost a lot of games in a row.
Yeah.
Then they broke that, and they've actually won a couple in between then and there. Rain delay also stopped them from potentially winning another one there or losing. We don't know what would happen, but I was thinking about it today, and I mean, I'm definitely down on this squad, of course, right? Just looking at the record and everything that's going on in the comments, but in the last 3 games in this week alone, from Monday to where we are right now, we're recording this on Friday. They played 3 games because one of them got rained out. The offense has actually been kind of good, man. 7 runs, I believe, on Monday, 9 on Tuesday, 9 yesterday.
Night,
offense is coming alive. George Springer has been doing work. Is there any reason right now? First off, what are your thoughts on this team as a whole? What are you feeling about it? But is there any reason to feel a little, or to maybe hope for a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, just based on what we're seeing right now with the sticks?
I mean, it's a lot of wishful thinking that the Blue Jays are going to continue this way of play when we have not seen it all season long. I mean, the big contributing factor to how good the Toronto Blue Jays have been so far this season is George Springer this week. And we have not seen George Springer do this very often this season.
No, it's basically the only time that he's.
It's the only time, right?
Well, other than the first series, the opening up the season. Really.
Right. And while we're on the topic, I'll flash over here just to the guys in the last 7 days, who is doing it. It's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with a 1.407 OPS. He's popping off with 4 homers and 12 RBIs in 7 days. And then you got Horwitz, the guy who's coming up and saving this team. He's doing what he's got to do. Kiner Falefa being absolutely elite, batting 409 with a 1.1. And then, of course, George Springer, the 1.0. And then you have some other guys like Turner kind of showing up, but everybody else not showing up. So that surge is what you're seeing from those 4 boys right there with the 1.4, 1.4, 1.1, 1.0. And is that going to keep up? I don't know. What are you going to get from the Blue Jays moving forward in this season? It's really hard to predict, but I will agree with you. The vibes are high because this is the end of the road for the Toronto Blue Jays. This is the make or break month, right? The trade deadline is July 30th. It is right now June 28th. We're about 32-ish days away from that decision of, are we going to be selling or are we going to be buying? And we have to start winning series right now. And let me tell you, we got to start sweeping teams right now to get back into an area where we can maybe change the narrative of the season.
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things and the road that they would need to travel to get back into playoff contention and to even go further than that, right? Because when we walked into the season, the goal was make it through the wild card, not just make it to a wild card spot and sneak your way in, but actually win some games in the playoffs and maybe, make it through a round. And who knows what could happen after that. So clearly the road to get to that place, it's still a long ways away. But I think if you do start looking at this as a game at a time and just completely forget, what it is required to get back there, there is some reasons to be optimistic, right? I like what I'm seeing with the sticks. This is the first week where the offense, in not a single game so far, the offense has been the problem at all. Now, defensively speaking, there were some issues that happened on Monday, and I mean, that you could argue that those are the same guys doing that. But still, when you put up 9 runs in back-to-back games, when George Springer drops 6 RBIs on the New York Yankees, I fucking hate those guys, and this guy dropped 6 RBIs on them and made Carlos Rodon look silly. That is nice. So even though this season has been, for the most part, going down the drain, and there's going to be lots of conversations about trading Bo and trading Kikuchi and, DFAing this guy and whatever. It is still nice. It is still refreshing. Right. It does still make me feel good as a fan to watch them absolutely destroy the New York Yankees.
Yeah, for sure. And to kind of cap it off here, we've gotten to a place after the 7-game losing streak, me personally, I don't know about you guys, but where I've kind of accepted the fact that we will be selling at this deadline. So if they want to somehow magically change that and they want to actually compete this year in 2024 by going on a hot stretch and smoking the Yankees, who are cold as ice right now, then sure. Because if they do end up failing in this mission and this road back to playoff contention and potentially buying into the season, well, then I've already accepted we're trading guys away and the season's a wash. So I'm okay with it. So from here on out, no expectations. Go have fun, kids. Let's play some ball.
I'm going to pull a little, presidential debate move right here. And just, for absolutely no reason at all, move it over to golf. And if you guys saw that clip, that's hilarious. Crazy, just crazy nonsense that was happening down south over there. But we've talked about it before. Whenever we're on the golf course, the best way to have an incredible round is not be worrying about, what I did on the last hole, what I need to do on these upcoming holes to actually get to that place. It's just focusing on one shot at a time. And again, I'm not going to get my hopes up or anything like that. But if the Toronto Blue Jays can really get granular with it and not only just focus on one game at a time, but focus at one at-bat at a time, one pitch at a time, that is what is ultimately going to be able to get you back into that conversation of maybe you could buy at the deadline, maybe you could go on a run. Again, not holding my breath at all, but that's the mentality that they're going to need. And honestly, as a fan moving forward, watching this team, I think that's the mentality I am going to be taking whenever I start watching a Blue Jays baseball
Absolutely.
game.
It's very refreshing to have zero expectations on this Blue Jays team. Let's move over a little bit, and let's talk about Bo Bichette, the man of the hour. Yesterday, guys, right before the game against the New York Yankees, Hazel Mae asked him a question, guys. She asked, basically talking about, wanting to speak on the trade rumors at the and the deadline talk, and she asked him whether he'd be surprised if he were moved at the deadline, and he this is the quote that shook the internet. He said, "No, not surprised at all." So that obviously, when I read that, I was a little bit shocked. I know a lot of you guys on the internet are a little bit shocked at that comment. Just from that comment alone, he did talk after the game and expanded on it. But what do you take of that comment right there? Well, just being not surprised that if he gets moved.
So I said this on the live stream last night, and I'm going to stick with this one. It's not what he said. It's what he didn't say, right? Because I think we can all put ourselves in those shoes. And from Bo Bichette right now, you go on the internet, you're looking at the articles that are popping up. Oh, the Dodgers are interested. Maybe, I could go there, right? Of course he's going to be looking at that and hearing the speculation that's going on. So probably he's being completely truthful that he wouldn't be surprised at this point based on the trajectory of this team. But it's what he didn't say after that, which was, I still want to play here, or I hope I'm not moved, or I hope that we can turn it around, or any mixture or one of those things, I think would have calmed all of Toronto Blue Jays fans' nerves and been like, all right, you know what, Bo does still want to be here. Bo is still interested in playing here. But I think when you pair up the fact that he goes, no, not surprised at all, that is it to a trade talk, and then also you just kind of marry that to the attitude that we're seeing on the field, the attitude that it looks like he's taking when he's in the box, how he is performing, all of those things, you start to concoct a bit of a narrative, and this is all speculation, by the way, but the narrative starts to grow of maybe Bo Bichette doesn't actually want to be here anymore, or maybe he doesn't care what happens with this squad. Again, that is fully speculatory, and I hope that that's not the case, but that was kind of what I got from that, and I would have hoped that Bo Bichette would have expanded on his answer and said more.
Well, Bo Bichette, as we know, is a man of very few words, and it never really looked like he never really expressed in the past how much of a love of Toronto he's had, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., for example, has said in the past. He's a very emotional guy, wears his heart on his sleeve, as we know. Bo Bichette is the complete opposite, where He's very to himself. I mean, we've even talked to Keegan Matheson and Caitlin McGrath, who are there all the time around the Rogers Center, around Bichette, and they've said, yeah, he just sticks to himself. He does his own thing. And I mean, and he follows up on it afterwards. But, you know, when asked to expand on his comments, he literally did say, like, yeah, I mean, it's just the business of the game. Like, he was just matter-of-factly saying, well, it's just the business, right? We are losing. We're struggling. We are where we are, as we see here in his quotes after the fact. And if I get traded, I wouldn't be surprised because I know I'm valuable right now. I'm a buy low candidate, and it is what it is. But I have to agree with you where it is unfortunate that we're not seeing a little bit more love for the city and then a little bit more love for wanting to play for Toronto. And to be fair, totally Bo Bichette's point is he doesn't really owe us much. I mean,
no,
he's not from here. He never said, I want to play here for the rest of my career. He takes it as it is. His dad's a former big leaguer. He knows the business inside and out. He's been around the league, the game his entire life. So I don't think we should be offended by the comment or what he's saying. But I do hear that it does suck to hear that maybe the future with Bo Bichette is unlikely with the Jays.
I think I feel like it's upsetting only because you're hearing what Ross Atkins is coming out and saying. And again, this is supposed to be the spokesperson of the Toronto Blue Jays, the guy that is, supposed to be leading the charge in this organization. And he continuously is coming out and talking about how he doesn't want to move on from those guys and how, in fact, he would love to extend them if possible, right? So to hear him say that, and then you hear Bo Bichette going, actually, I'm not surprised if I got traded at all. It feels like there's a disconnect between the players and Ross Atkins. And I think that's something that we've all been talking about for a long time, saying that everything that Ross Atkins says is kind of BS, right? I mean, like this whole narrative of, well, we got to stay patient and, it's going to come around and we got these underlying whatevers that are going to, make us better at analytics, whatnot. I mean, I think all of us kind of know that that's a load. And I would argue that Bo Bichette coming out and saying that he wouldn't be surprised if he got traded is inadvertently saying that what Ross Atkins is saying is also a load.
If we know that one guy that doesn't speak BS, it's Bo Bichette. Exactly. He does not speak any BS. He's pretty blunt to the fact. So, yeah, there is a bit of miscommunication. That's why I do like having this Hazel Mae quote right here where she kind of re-quotes her own tweet because she knows what she's doing, kind of showing the contradicting statements right there. On that fact where Atkins, like you mentioned, saying that there is still an opportunity to sign Guerrero and Bichette.
And also, too, I watched that comment. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I watched that. That was in response to getting both of them. Not just one. It was like, is there a way to sign both of them, right? Because that is, you got to think about the monetary implications that would have. And he's saying that they're actually the opportunity to sign both of them is still there.
Right. So I guess my question to, all of us and maybe to ourselves here is like, are we overthinking this in a way where Bo Bichette is just not thinking about this too much? He's just stating the facts, looking at where the team is, saying, okay, well, clearly I wouldn't be surprised if I got traded based on how the team is. Or is there something going on behind the scenes? This is, again, all speculation, where maybe there's a bit of miscommunication on what exactly is the intention with the future of Bo Bichette with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Dude, I think that Bo Bichette is probably in the same boat that a lot of us are, not knowing what the hell is going on, but understanding that whatever Ross Atkins says cannot be trusted. I just don't think that we can take anything that he says with a grain of salt at this point, because from his perspective, he's got a bunch of different angles to consider. One, he's trying to save his job. So that's always going to be the forefront of everything. Two, he is trying to, instill faith in the Blue Jays community so that you and I and your mom and your sister and whatever, you guys keep buying tickets, you keep tuning into the Toronto Blue Jays, right? We've even noticed that when this team sucks, the viewership dips. I'm sure that Ross Atkins has noticed the exact same thing. So he wants you to keep buying in to this squad that they are going to turn around. And three, he's also got to factor in that he can't come out and say that I'm going to trade these guys or we're not going to sign them, because then the offers that you're going to get if you were to go and trade them are not going to be nearly as good as if you had the leverage to hold on to them. So there's so many different things that he's got to consider as a GM. It is very difficult, and I understand, he's not doing a great job at it, but it is very difficult. But that's why everything that Ross Atkins comes out and says, and he did say a lot, It's a grain of salt thing for me, man.
Yeah.
Like, it means honestly less than nothing.
You make a good point. Look, I'm not vouching for Ross Atkins. I want him fired as soon as the season's over. Like, there's no doubt about it. He should be gone. But I mean, it is very hard to hold leverage with your comments in the media and also speak the truth of how you actually feel about the team. So I do gotta give him a little bit of a tip of the cap, being like, I hear that this is a hard position for you to be in right now.
100%, right? And like he's trying to keep basically every single pathway open because similarly to us, he doesn't know what's going to happen. Maybe we do go on a fucking run. Maybe George Springer goes back to what he was like in 2019 with the Houston Astros, right? And all of a sudden, like, this Toronto Blue Jays team wins 10 games in a row. If 10 games prior, he's like, yeah, we're going to trade Bichette. Well, that's not a good look. Now you want to be able to extend him or do whatever it's going to be. So he's just trying to keep every single door open. And at the end of the day, like, what we really need to take away from all of this is that anything could happen at this trade deadline, folks. Would you be surprised if Bichette got traded? I personally wouldn't be. Like, it would suck, and I would be upset about it, but I wouldn't be surprised anymore.
I would probably be a little bit surprised just because of what he's been saying. Like, he made comments. I couldn't find the quote here, but I'm paraphrasing, so just trust me. But he said he wanted to win. And again, this could be him just protecting his own ass and keeping the fans involved. But there's still a window for 2025, and it's like, by trading Bichette, you're killing that window effectively, right? Because you need to bank on a bounce back from Bichette in 2025 if you want to have that window stay alive. I did want to flip over and kind of also double down on these comments he made regarding where the Blue Jays are moving or doing moving forward. Like he said, we're focused on winning. This is a direct quote from Ross Atkins. We're focused on building the best team possible this year and supporting them the best we can. If we get to a point where we need to adjust, we're prepared to do so. And that end point kind of leaves it open there. Like, okay, now what I'm saying isn't totally BS. Like, if we do get to a point of clearly we need to sell, we're going to sell, or clearly we need to buy, we're going to buy back in. So how the whole strategy for the Toronto Blue Jays, the whole strategy right now for the Toronto Blue Jays moving forward is we're going to play it one game at a time.
Yeah.
Like we said, and we'll see when we cross that bridge. I mean, it's unfortunate. We don't know where we're at, but we got to win games. That's what it comes down to right now.
Of course, right? I mean, the team's just got to play better overall, right? And again, I don't think anybody is a big Ross Atkins stan at this point, but you do have to feel for what the guy is dealing with. His team that he's invested everything in right now is shitting the bed.
Yeah.
And, he's trying his best to keep everything together. Arguably, that's not the right move to make at this point. I think a lot of us are saying that we want to see changes. But, it's just a tough spot for him to navigate. So right now, the Bichette stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if a trade does go down because, again, like, flashback to 2022 when the Washington Nationals had Juan Soto and they're like, there's no way that we're going to trade this guy at all. A month later, he's on a train to on a plane to San Diego. Anything.
That's a long train if it was from Washington.
Yeah. Sorry, he's on a plane to San Diego, right? So literally, it's like Ross Atkins can come out and say anything at all, and honestly, I wouldn't really buy it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't buy it either. But again, Bichette's comments, I got to respect Bichette in a sense where, look, if I just forget, like, if I move my bias of the Toronto Blue Jays, like, he calls it for what it is. This guy has been born into this business since he was a kid. So, I mean, he knows how it's done. He knows how this thing all plays out, and he could be traded anytime soon. Let's actually talk about some trade stuff because we all have been seeing some rumblings here and there. One especially that we haven't got a chance to talk about on this show is the Astros are potentially interested in trading for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Michael Schwab over there, he's certified, so he must be legit.
He is an insider for the Houston Astros.
There you go. Insider for the Houston Astros. He says the Astros have identified Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as one of the top targets for a trade, per sources. That was the entire quote, and that kind of blew up this week that the Astros, I mean, they're without Jose Abreu. They're trying to patch that hole, and they want a little bit more offense now that their pitching is starting to cook. Now, we're talking about Bichette getting traded as a possibility. What about a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. trade? Is that a possibility at all?
I've gone back and forth on this for quite a while, but this one to me feels like it's just not going to happen. I think that Bo at this point, the fan base is making their decision. This was always the year. We said this at the beginning. This was going to be the year where the decision needed to be made on who we want to have here long term.
Right.
And one player has showed up and continued to play at a high level. One player has not. And the player that's playing at a high level is Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
Now, I'm never going to say never, because if Houston, for whatever reason, offered up Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez and everyone else, obviously that's going to happen. They are not going to do that. But point being, if the return was so great, so ridiculous that you're forced into saying yes, anything can happen. I don't think that is going to be the case, though. I think that the Toronto Blue Jays at this deadline, if I was to bet on anything, I do think that they will probably be forced into a bit of a sell. I still think Kikuchi will go. Turner is a good sell piece. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if Bo Bichette trade rumors, serious conversations happen. LA Dodgers feel like a good landing spot. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. feels like the one guy that you hold on to. And I come back to the fact that even though he is going to be entering free agency in a year from now, right, after 2025, he's still young as hell. And, you could, theoretically, if you were going to do a retool, going to do a rebuild, you could theoretically hold on to him and make him the guy and still have 5, 6, 7 years of good prime Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to help you build your team around. That could be a whole retool thing. Yes. It's almost like the Baltimore Orioles, what they did with Cedric Mullins when he was like their one good player that they had for years. And then, they were just, all right, we're going to hold on. They could have traded him, but they're like, we're going to hold on to you, and we're going to try to build around you. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., different player than Cedric Mullins, but I think that the framework for doing that is still there. So I think that they hold on to Guerrero.
Yeah, I mean, totally different from Bo Bichette, where Vladdy's actually come out and talked about wanting to be a Blue Jay for life. And when you have comments like that coming from a player, which honestly rarely happen in this business, a player saying they want to be a Toronto Blue Jay forever, you sign that guy up to an extension. I don't care what it takes. I mean, we're talking about a lot more about the business of, being a general manager in Major League Baseball. It is very business oriented. You got to make money for your team. And what better way to continue to make money and build an icon in your city than extending Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? I think we could all come to an agreement that Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s play as of late deserves some more time on the Toronto Blue Jays.
Right.
Yes, he doesn't have the power. I mean, he's hitting a lot of power recently, but the OPS numbers are looking good. That's a player that, what I've seen so far in his career, that's a player I genuinely would want to sign and extend to put on this team. And like Nick said, he could be in the prime of his career. I think that's a deal that you got to figure out soon. Because, again, once he gets closer to free agency, he's going to sniff the millions. He's going to sniff, what kind of big offer can I get? Like he said, he wants to be a Blue Jay for life. Whatever general manager it is in the offseason, whether it be Ross Atkins or a new guy, James Click, whoever, you got to figure out how to get this guy and stay in Toronto.
Well, that would be, again, you say soon, that would be an off-season thing for sure. It's not going to happen.
It can't happen trade deadline. No.
It's not going to happen mid-season because, again, you still don't know what the identity of the squad is. And also, I think that Guerrero and what his value is, that is going to be something that is heavily debated. Looking at him, I mean, obviously you look back at that 2021 and you think to yourself, well, that is a 350, maybe even more millions of dollar caliber player, right, for a very long deal.
Right.
What he's been doing since then has been good. It's been a good MLB player, and he will probably go to the All-Star game. He might not start the All-Star game this year, but he will probably go. So he's been a good MLB player, but certainly not somebody that's worth $300 million, right? So finding that middle ground of, well, you are a good MLB player and you are still very young, because Guerrero is literally, how old is he? 25.
Yeah.
25 years old. He's literally younger than some of the fucking other, kids that we're calling up right now.
Yeah.
So he's still only 25 years old. And you'd hope that you're going to get some more incredible years, some more like 2021 level years. So it's very difficult to find the value. I think that is obviously a conversation that they are going to need to tackle in the off season. And I do see a world where Vladdy can be on this team long term. I think that the one thing I will say, I don't know if Guerrero is ever going to be that Shohei Ohtani or Bryce Harper or Mike Trout for us, where
No.
he does everything all the time. I think that whatever deal you sign Guerrero to, it's got to be enough flexibility that you can bring in other supporting cast, a strong talent around him. Because I don't think, even though he's a great player, what we've seen in the last 3 years isn't that MVP caliber every single season. I'm going to fucking win you. I'm going to win you a whole playoff series. We haven't seen that from him yet.
Right.
So you leave yourself flexibility to still get another guy
Yeah,
like that, basically.
I think if anybody's still on the conversation of this guy is expected to be that 2021 level Guerrero, where he led in so many major categories in the MLB and American League, we got to forget about that. I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. can have a season like that again.
Yeah.
Maybe one at a who knows when, but that's kind of what you're paying for. Youth, the potential of, hey, this guy could break out at any moment and give you that kind of season. But at the floor, this guy's going to be a 117 OPS plus, an above average player, and hell, even a 130 plus. That's great. That's a middle, top of the lineup guy that you always want to have on your team. And it's a great guy, especially if he wants to stay in Toronto and be in Toronto forever. That's a great guy to bring in other people, bring in free agents, bring up the young guys, because he would at that point have enough experience. I think this honestly is a no-brainer. For me personally, Vlad's the one untouchable if you want to keep some sort of spirit and some sort of competitive window for this team moving forward sooner rather than later.
We were at the game like a month ago, and we ran into Scott from the Walk Off podcast.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with that, great show over there. Incredible human being. He's actually going to be coming to our event this Sunday, everybody, at Greta Bar. So if you are not coming, please show up. Tickets are in our description, $10. Everything goes to charity. Incredible event that we're going to be doing there. But he made a great comment that I thought had a lot of weight to it, saying, Vladdy will be an MVP candidate when you don't tell him that he's an MVP candidate.
When you forget about him.
Yeah.
When you've forgotten all about him.
Like, I know that Guerrero, if you put him in the 5th spot of a lineup that featured, let's just say he was on the New York Yankees, right? Like he goes to the Yankees
Astros.
or the Houston Astros, right? With a Kyle Tucker and a Yordan Alvarez and an Altuve, where he doesn't need to be like the guy. That is when Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is automatically going to explode for insane numbers, right? So that's why I say when hopefully you get him to an extension, if the Toronto Blue Jays are going to go in that direction, which I still think they are going to try to do, leave yourself the flexibility to go out and get that superstar, whether it be on free agency, whether it be through trade, whether it be through your internal systems that you'll inevitably need to sign to a long-term deal. Because as much as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is an incredible player, when the pressure is off of him, that is when he fucking goes through the roof. Right?
Yeah, I mean, in 2021, I don't think, I think he put the pressure on himself to, lose a ton of weight in that COVID year of 2020. And realistically, I don't think many of us were expecting that season. I know our buddy Dylan was like all on him that preseason. And sure, you could, but the general media was not saying this guy's going to bat for a 1.0 OPS and carry the Toronto Blue Jays. No. So I think we're almost at that point, though, where coming into this season, I didn't have any expectations on him. And like honestly, what he's doing right now is kind of similar OPS numbers to what he did in 2022, and I was disappointed. Now I'm happy. I'm sad. I know what this product is going to look like at its floor. If you give me this, I'm good. Ross Atkins or whoever the hell it's going to be this offseason, let's lock up Vladdy.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly, folks. So everybody can be interested. They can call about him, but I don't think that he's going to get traded unless the offer is crazy. Let's go and discuss this past series, Boston Red Sox, and then this final game, or the yesterday game, against the New York Yankees, and then break down the, upcoming, ongoing series with the Yankees. Blue Jays offense, like we said, guys, they showed up in a big way in the last 3 games. 6 runs on Monday. Wasn't enough, though.
No, because
the bullpen reared its ugly head. There were some questionable decisions as well. Where was Chad Green? I know that was a big conversation that was transpiring. John Schneider kind of pulled a John Schneider. This was an upsetting one because it was finally you do get that offense. And then, the pitching blows it, which we have to understand. pitching is a problem, right? The
Yeah.
pitching is not what it was in 2023.
Yeah.
There are holes here.
We can't blame the offense anymore of just like you're the problem. No, now the pitching's coming around.
Yeah.
It's starting to struggle at the
there
worst
are
time.
problems all over this team. Let
Oh
me
yeah.
tell you.
Oh yeah, there is. And I remember 3 weeks ago when we were like somewhat close to 500. I was like, we got to trade for a bullpen guy right now. I was calling for it. Like, we have to trade for one right now to avoid shit like this. And look what happened.
Yeah.
And that's why we were losing some games. That one was ugly. That one was like literally, I thought that was the season over when they blew that 6-2 lead. I'm like, okay, done. No more supporting the Jays. And then they go on and they do pummel the Red Sox in game 2, 9-4. That's where you had George Springer homer. No, this wasn't the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. homer, was it? No, I don't believe it was. Or no, Vlad had. Did he have 2 in this series? No, he had 1 in this series.
I think he had. Well, he had the
one on Monday.
that literally went into the parking lot.
Yeah, I think that was the one on Monday where it was like where they went. It was insane, dude. That's where they went up 6-2, and they're like, okay, like hell yeah. But this was great offensive showing. Obviously Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Justin Turner, George Springer popping off, and that continued into the next series. We had the rain delay, obviously, on the Wednesday, but then yesterday, man, we were live for it. What a showing in the first 2 innings to put up 8 runs. George Springer hitting 2 bombs. My God. Just now, I know we're during the live stream, everyone's like, George is back, and we're like, he's back. Is he back? That's my question to you, is what would it take for him to actually be back?
Yeah, look, I mean, the whole conversation about, if somebody's back or not back, like, he was back last night. And if we continue with the mindset of one game at a time, one at bat at a time, then for yesterday, he was back. But we're not even thinking about that anymore. Yeah. Now it's today, right? And I can't really predict to you whether or not he's going to be back for the season. It's got to be one day at a time, and that is the mindset that George Springer needs to have. I'm sure that he had the biggest weight come off of his back yesterday, right? Because the amount of negativity that has been surrounded around him, we have been guilty of it, and honestly, rightfully so. Like, he gets paid so much money, and the production that he's put up this season has not been good enough. That was the first time, arguably all seasons, or at least since the first series, that we really saw George Springer come to life and look like his old self. He did get some help from Carlos Rodon, who was pitching like ass.
Oh, that guy sucked, dude.
He was not good yesterday, but you cannot take away anything from George Springer. He needed that, and the one thing that I can hope for is that was a confidence booster for him going into today. I don't want to say he's back yet, but you need some momentum if you are inevitably going to be back.
You definitely need it, man. And like we flashed over earlier in this podcast, like, the numbers are looking very good. And again, I'm not worried about the season-long numbers, because really what determines the season is this next month. That's all I care about. Who is playing right now? And I hope to God John Schneider can kind of see who the guys are. Like, you need to stack up, and he's been kind of doing it, but when we need to win games, it's right now. Like, there's no more rest days. You rest in the All-Star break. It's time to stack up IKF, Horwitz, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Turner, and Springer. I hate that I'm putting him there now, but if he's hot, he's swinging it. He's like everybody else. I don't care. If you're hot, you're swinging it. That needs to be the top 5 moving forward for basically every game. There will be games when that won't happen. I get it. But that's the hottest 5 you have right now. Play him. Play him so.
Yeah, 100%, man. So, I mean, credit to George Springer. That was an amazing game yesterday. And the one thing that I love to see as well, and again, Carlos Rodon, not very good yesterday. He's going through a bit of a rough stretch. But they hopped on the pitcher early. That's been something that they've been trying to do all season long. 8 of the 9 runs that they got were in the first 2 innings of baseball. And you never see that from the Toronto Blue Jays. There was a whole, what was it, like 20-odd game stretch where they didn't score 1 run in the first
29.
inning. It was, like we almost broke the record, right? And then yesterday they put up 5. So that was phenomenal. That's what they've been trying to do all year long, and they finally did it.
Yeah, no, good on them. And look, the Yankees are in a bad place right now. We're going to break them down in just a moment. But they're in a bad place. They're 2-9 in their last 11 games.
Yeah.
That you have to pounce on them this weekend. We do have a tough matchup coming up. We're about to break it down. But you got to keep the foot on the pedal and keep on pouncing and hit for homers. Look what home runs does. Look what home runs does, guys. 7 of our 9 runs last night came off of the home run.
Yeah.
That is game changer Keegan Madison talked about it. It's like, when he interviewed Don Mattingly, and Don Mattingly said, like, power can be a dangerous thing. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
If we didn't have those home runs, it would be a tie game. We're going to extras. Classic Blue Jays game ahead of us.
Yeah.
Right? We would have had a great Jose Barrios performance, no decision, and it would have been awful.
Yeah.
We need to keep the foot on the pedal. You got to keep swinging it, Vlad. You're the dude, and then George Springer as well. We need some more power from other guys as well.
Well, tonight we're up against an old friend, everybody. It's going to be Marcus Stroman up against the Cooch is Loose. Marcus Stroman with the 3.15 ERA. Yusei Kikuchi with a 4 on the season. One of them has been a lot hotter than the other one has recently. Let's give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, giving you guys our bets for this game, and then we'll break it down further.
Come on, Nick. You can do it.
Whoa! Time for your daily Betway breather. A quick reminder that the best place to bet is on Betway. Must be 19 years of age or older to play. In collaboration with iGaming Ontario, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Betway, everybody, for being absolutely phenomenal, guys. Tonight, we are sadly going to be betting, or at least Adam is going to be betting on the New York Yankees. Just an odds play, right?
Yeah,
just an odds play.
Pure odds. The odds actually keep changing right now. It was up to 1.95 multiplier. It's actually back to even. So Blue Jays, Yankees back to even. But the pure reason why, guys, is just these numbers over here. Last 3 appearances, Marcus Stroman's been like one of the only Yankee pitchers on a bit of a heater right now. 3.63 ERA. Kikuchi has been struggling, and it's a heavy right-handed lineup against Yusei Kikuchi. This feels like, even though they've been struggling, the Yankees, they're still the Yankees. This is the game that they're going to want to pick up. Purely an odds play. I would say the stats are leaning Yankees, but the odds aren't. They're pretty even. So that's why I'm going. That's why I'm going in that direction.
You know what? I was initially going to be negative and bet against Bo Bichette tonight, but I think I've actually talked myself into all of this. I'm not going to bet for Bo Bichette. But I am going to bet for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
Okay.
You brought it up to me, and he's just been impressing me so much. Like, I kind of forget about IKF.
Right.
2 hits tonight is a 2.5 times multiplier. Honestly, screw it, man. Like, IKF has just been doing it consistently all season long. And against his former team, I think he shows up.
Total bases. So if he gets a double, then there you go.
There you go.
It's
there
done.
It is.
He's been actually showing up, man. He's a guy that, I hate that I'm saying it, I want in the top of the lineup. Yes. I want on this team.
100%.
All right.
Tonight, Coochie over Stroman. Cooch is going to need to get loose, everybody, if he if he wants to win this one. What are you thinking?
Also, guys, before I give you my thought, this is going to be the 9x9x9 challenge game, guys. We're not going to do our regular live play-by-play. It's going to be a 9x9x9 challenge theme. We're going to watch the game, yes, react as well, but with hot dogs and beers, 9 of them each, going into our bodies.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That is going to be a wild experience, everybody. We're going to have a vlog coming out about it probably next week at some point. Just, really condensifying it all. Condensifying? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. I haven't even eaten breakfast yet, everybody, because I'm trying to, cleanse my body out for literally 9 hot dogs and 9 beers.
Yeah. Guys, so go check it out. It's tonight. We're super amped. But let's get into this prediction right now. I'm thinking a loss. Like I said, I do think we're going to lose this one. I made a bet on it. I think Stroman's going to quiet us a little bit, but I think the Judge and Soto will show up in this one.
Yeah, it all depends on what type of offense we're going to get tonight, right? Like the Blue Jays, when they have, with what they've been doing recently, 6 and then 9 and then 9 runs, that is clearly a team that can win. But Stroman has been very good and Kikuchi hasn't. And Yusei Kikuchi, what's worrying about that is if they do have to sell, his numbers are starting to dip into the I'm not nearly as valuable as I was category. Yeah. And I don't deserve a major return type of category.
Well, I mean, granted, I actually just checking now. I was using this as, it's not going to change my answer, but Soto is 1-6 against Yusei Kikuchi. Judge, 23 at-bats. He does have 2 homers, but he's got a 174 batting average. I don't know. Just throwing it out there, maybe. But I do think it's going to be no.
I will say that the New York Yankees take that one, going 1-1 in the series. The following game on Saturday, this is a tough one as well, everybody. Nestor Cortez, Chris Bassett. Now, Chris Bassett has been phenomenal recently. He has really been playing amazing, guys. Nestor Cortez has a good ERA on the season, but like we said, the New York Yankees not necessarily doing what they need to do. I think that with the momentum right now that the offense has, I'm going to bet on a Toronto Blue Jays win here.
I am going to actually bet on a Blue Jays win. Lefty Cortez, Bo mashes Cortez.
Yeah,
my God,
wow.
615 batting average. Kiermaier in 6 at-bats, 3 for 6. Kirk will not be playing this game, unfortunately. He has not got a hit off Nestor Cortez. You got to imagine, unless Bassett does pitch to Kirk. I don't know if they're going to switch that up or not, but you know what? Yeah, I am thinking we're going to take this one. We finally give Bassett that W that he's been so long awaiting for. He's going to pitch a gem. I'm locking it in.
100%. And then the final game, everybody, on Sunday, which we are hosting
Yeah.
an amazing event for, guys.
Yeah.
At Greta Bar. We've said it a couple times already, but we are literally going to be at the bar downtown. King in Portland is where it's at, very close to the Rogers Center. All day, guys. We're going to be there basically all day. It's $10 tickets to get in to have this watch party with us. We're going to have Scott from the Walk-Off there. A bunch of different giveaways. We're giving away a Davis Schneider City Connect jersey.
Huge.
So if you are around and you're looking to do something, please stop by. We are so excited for it. Also, every single dollar that's spent on the tickets, it goes to charity, folks. So, so literally, I mean, we're not even really getting anything for this at all. Just a great time. Trying to give back to the community, and we're just excited to hopefully see some of you there. So we're going to be watching the game live at Greta with hopefully a lot of you.
Let's go.
That game should be a good one.
It should.
Garrett Cole, Kevin Gausman, two absolute aces who are not playing the best right now, not playing how you would expect them to play.
Wow.
What are we thinking right here?
Wow. Okay, looking at some matchups right now. Guerrero mashes Cole. I always knew. But there you go. You see the numbers, 323 average and a 1.002 OPS with 2 homers. Kirk also does pretty good. Turner does pretty good. Man, we have a lot of guys that actually kind of mash Cole pretty good. And then on the flip side of things, Soto, 6 for 12 against Kevin Gausman. Trevino, 4 for 6. I want to. Oh, this is tough. This is honestly a coin flip for me.
I'll jump in there if you're still thinking.
Go ahead.
I am gonna say that we are going to lose this one, and it's less about. I mean, it's less about all of the analytics and everything, and it's more about. I just find it hard to believe that we will win a series against the New York Yankees.
Yeah, a 4-game series.
Correct,
too.
Exactly, right. 3 games against the Yankees. I know that they're not doing great, but I just find that hard to believe. And, you know, Garrett Cole is still Garrett Cole. At one point, he is going to be Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
You know, he's just coming back from a very bad injury. He hasn't played in a very long time. So at one point, though, it is going to happen. Wouldn't be shocked if it was this Sunday. Quick shout out here to Roger Wiley before you get to your in out. Just saying, I'm going to miss the 9x9. I've got Billy Talent tickets tonight. You got this, boys. Dude, thank you so much. We appreciate that. If you're going to miss the live stream tonight for the 9x9x9 challenge, no worries. Vlog coming out about it next week.
All right. Yeah, like I am going to say for the exact same reasons we're going to lose this, because if we split against the Yankees, that's a win in its own right.
Yeah.
However, I will throw it out there. I also would not be shocked if we took 3 of 4. I mean, we already took 1, so now all we got to do is win the next 2 out of 3. We just got to win the series, right? If you just forget about the past, 1 game at a time. This is a winnable game, but it's Gausman, and he can be pretty volatile. This is a winnable game as well, whereas this one's probably the least winnable, right? So I think there's a chance, but I'm going to say we split just for the sake of saying that we can't beat the Yankees.
I'll say that we go 2-2, and again, running into Garrett Cole, running into the Yankees at the best possible moment. Honestly, any other time, that is a complete and utter L, you know? But because of what he's had to deal with, and because of how the Yankees bats are swinging, and because of how they're playing, it feels like we actually do have an opportunity here. If they can win against the Yankees, if they can get this series W, obviously we're not 100% back here, folks. Like, it's still a long ways to go. Wild card is still quite a ways away.
Far.
But that would be the first step to potentially gaining some momentum and maybe not having to sell everything at the deadline.
Well, looking right here at the American League standings, Toronto Blue Jays, if we did win this series, we would be 39-44. So you're 5 games below 500. A sweep would be completely drastic, and you'd be 40-43. You'd be 3 games below, way better position. Yeah, I mean, if you want any chance, Blue Jays, to getting back into this season, you have to win this series. It's as simple as that.
Keep beating
Simple
the
as that.
Yankees. Keep beating the Yankees. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this Blue Jays Today show. As we mentioned before, 9x9x9 challenge tonight, and then also on Sunday, $10 tickets to Greta, where we're having a live watch party, bunch of giveaways that we're just giving away for free, and everything goes to charity, folks. Also, you know, we'll probably buy a couple people some beers and just hang out with you guys, so it should be a fun time altogether. We hope to see all of you guys there.
Guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, guys, go Jays, go!